RetroDaze.
It's Saturday afternoon and I'm getting mighty hungry again, so I think it's time for another roundup of nostalgic-themed restaurants. Now, after our first visit on the subject, I mentioned having skipped over some pretty popular locations like the Rainforest Cafe. What I didn't expect was to receive a truckload of excellent suggestions from viewers. So many, in fact, that we'll likely have to come back for parts 3 and maybe even 4 sometime in the future. But for today, you can expect a solid roundup of fantastic eateries with a healthy side of viewers' shoutouts. Let's dig in. The Rainforest Cafe stood out to me as the most prominent of our cutting room floor outtakes. While perhaps not quite as pervasive as Chuck E. Cheese, which still has locations and has recently even announced expanding into 10 adult-oriented locations called Chuck's Arcade, the Rainforest Cafe does still have locations of its own and remains among many people's favorite themed restaurants.
At Rainforest Cafe, your adventure is about to begin. Discover the mystery and intrigue of a tropical rainforest as you explore exotic beverages and incredible cuisine. Swing in now for our steak and shrimp platter for only $13.99. Feast on our juicy top sirloin steak paired with our succulent coconut shrimp fried to a golden brown, and our shrimp scampi broiled in our creamy garlic white wine sauce, all for only $13.99. So escape to Rainforest Cafe, a wild place to shop and eat.
One of the other reasons we held back on this pick is because even though the first location opened on February 3rd, 1994, the Rainforest Cafe is often remembered more as a late 90s and early 2000s eatery, which is a bit later than we usually cover for this channel. Still, by 1997, the chain had 6 restaurants in the US and a plan to have a total of 22 restaurants by 2008. Like medieval times, the Rainforest Cafe attempts to be an immersive experience. In this case, that means the entirety of the restaurant is covered with fake trees, vines, foliage, and animatronics.
This is literally a wild place to shop and eat, complete with thick vegetation, which is watered by occasional tropical storms. Everything about this place, even the aroma, which is formulated from natural floral extract, creates a rainforest experience.
Of course, they didn't stop there, because what would the rainforest be without rain? Mercifully, they don't actually pour water right on you, but roughly every 30 minutes, there's a thunderstorm with light and sound effects. If the bird and elephant noises weren't already loud enough, well then you're in luck. They didn't stop at animatronic elephants and offer a wide variety of themed foods as well, with such delightful dishes as Tonga toast, Forest Combo, Beef Lava Nachos, the Beastly Burger, and Mojo Bones. Or perhaps some alcohol will liven you up. And with names like Mongoose Mai Tai, Cheetah Rita, and Hurricane, well, how can you go wrong? For those craving a comedic and totally self-imposed challenge while getting a closer look at the restaurant, look no further than YouTuber Eddie Burback's channel. 3 years ago, he traveled across the country to eat at every one of the 18 locations in a truly nostalgic tour de force.
We just got in from New Orleans. What a place. And we've got this brand new number for you and the folks here. What's it called? Way down yonder in New Orleans. Okay, boys. 1 and 2 and...
Moving on to our viewer suggestions. The first comes from Briar Rose 920, who keenly suggested Mark Twain's Riverboat Playhouse. This themed eatery had at least 2 locations in West Kendall and Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Like Showtime and Chuck E. Cheese, one of the big draws was the pizza. In fact, the front of the restaurant even read, "Featuring the Great American Pizza." Now, I never had the opportunity to sample Mark Twain's Riverboat Playhouse food, but some comments found online, like "Best Pizza Ever," suggest that they, had the best pizza ever. You'll forgive me if I doubt the authenticity of a single 3-year-old comment on Facebook, but I find it hard to believe, no matter how many happy, nostalgic memories you may have connected to the place, that Mark Twain's Riverboat Playhouse made the best pizza ever. Anyway, a few of the other standout features of this themed restaurant were the musical animatronic shows, birthday party celebrations, and massive arcade area. According to a commenter named Totally 80s Man on forums.arcademuseum.com, The Playhouse was a hotbed of arcade games at the time, and without a doubt in my mind, the best arcade in the entire state, and at the height of the Golden Age, opening in 1982. There were hundreds of games, and many that weren't anywhere else in South Florida. Dragon's Lair lines were out the door when it first arrived, complete with a monitor on top for everyone waiting to view. It had all the cutting-edge games as soon as they came out. Everything was maintained well, always working. Sounds like between the pizza, shows, and arcades, it was the place to be on any given summer weekend in Florida.
Running swing here? I don't think so. Climb and slide here? I don't think so. Then where?
I'm going DZ at Discovery Zone, where I can cut loose and be on my own.
DZ is made just for me, the place where I can really cut loose. It's all here.
Jump and tumble here? I don't think so.
I'm going DZ, where kids wanna be.
Our next pick comes from RetroDaze viewer Caitlin Jewell, who had extensive memories of the Discovery Zone. She writes, I mainly remember it for the giant ball pit, which was a lot bigger than the ones at McDonald's and Burger King. It had a bunch of climbing areas and several slides, including the roller slide, which was iconic to that place. The whole playground had a rainbow color palette, mainly consisting of blue, red, and yellow, making it a visual I never forgot about. It also had an arcade area, which I mainly remember for having Wacky Gator, since it was a game that talked. Since I was around 3, I was too young to play arcade games, so the only thing I did in that area was ride the kiddie rides. Right outside the playground area was where you had your pizza. While I don't remember ever seeing this, in some pictures and commercials I've seen online, they had a talking robot mascot named Z-Bot. After my early childhood, I only got to go there one more time in 2000 when I was 8, and I remember them providing coloring pages for the kids. Shortly after that, the place shut down because the Discovery Zone chain was bought out by the company behind Chuck E. Cheese's. Although Discovery Zone was founded in 1989 by Ronald Match, Jim Jorgensen, and David Schoenstatt, it became more widely known through the 1990s and early 2000s, making this particular franchise one that I was sadly too old to enjoy. It's also worth noting that DZ veers ever so slightly away from the whole themed restaurant moniker, as it was much more a gymnasium than an eatery, though they did serve pizza and cake. Places like Discovery Zone and our next pick are more accurately described as Family Entertainment Centers, or FECs.
At Circus World? Are you kidding? We have a ball! It's your party the way you want it. Fun for all ages at Circus World. Birthday parties, corporate parties, and group functions. Lock-ins any day of the week. The fun way to have fundraisers for your organization. All while enjoying delicious food and drink. The most inexpensive fun in Middle Tennessee. Call the center nearest you or visit us at strikeandsparebowling.com for details. And have a ball!
Another of these 90s era FECs was Circus World Pizza, which is our next pick, courtesy of Kimbingham 6540. Arnold Fogel, president of the Brunswick Corporation, envisioned an FEC that would combine the best parts of Chuck E. Cheese and Discovery Zone with a focus on children from ages 3 to 12. After the success of their Salt Lake City, Utah location, which opened in 1992, the Brunswick Corporation opened 6 more locations through 1993 and 1994. Like so many of the other FECs of the 80s and 90s, the chain featured a Circus World Jamboree animatronic show, which included a 4-member band including Lucky the Lion, Lucy the Lioness, Barney the Bear, and Peter the Penguin. Supporting characters included Hanky the Clown, Bodini the Clown, and Mighty Mac the Mouse.
A lion named Lucky who runs the show,
and his wife named Lucy who swings to and fro,
and a bear named Barney who beats the drum,
and Peter the Penguin makes the keyboard hum.
We're the Circus World Jamboree.
Yes, we are.
We're the best show you'll ever see,
by far.
And we're glad to have you with us. We want you all to know we wanna be your friends, so on with the show. We're the best show you'll ever see. We're the Circus World Jamboree.
Step right up and see the Circus World Jamboree.
Unfortunately, due to the oversaturation of family entertainment centers, all locations closed in the mid to late 90s, though luckily, some Circus World animatronics can still be found at other locations, such as Castle Park in Riverside, California, although the show is currently non-operational.
Long John Silver's gives you smiles to go.
Let Long John Silver's put a smile on your taste.
Long John's takeout plates keep everything in place. They keep the hot food hot and the coleslaw cold.
Long John's newfangled takeout plates
Are as good as their food.
Lunch or dinner, Long John Silver's gives you smiles to go.
Let Long John Silver's put a smile on your taste.
At your place.
Although I only remember Long John Silver's as a mall food court location, a couple of our viewers had very different experiences. Usafa 2000 says, "Where I grew up in the 80s, Long John Silver's restaurants looked like a pirate ship on the inside. There was a gangplank from the door to the register, thick rope nets on the ceiling, booth seats and tables looked like they were made from the wood from ships, and the workers wore pirate hats." They go on to admit that if you walk in one now, it's absolutely laughable how boring, sterile, and corporate they are. Similarly, Jason Womack 4064 had this to say in response. "Long John Silver's around me were the same way. I think they had the coolest kids meal container. Their treasure box with a false bottom for the toy was downright creative genius." Hearing these comments makes me incredibly sad that I only never knew the boring and sterile version of Long John Silver's. I'm not sure they were ever actually advertised as themed restaurants, but the comments here sure make it sound like they had come very close.
When we say Victoria Station is a cut above, that means a lot, like our famous prime rib cooked and cut to perfection. And how about those savory sautéed shrimp? With a big salad you make at the salad bar. And you know, those Victoria Station people, they make sure it's all a cut above.
Victoria Station, it's just a cut above.
RetroDaze viewer KH0034 introduced Victoria Station, which was a chain of railroad-themed steakhouse restaurants. They went on to say, Victoria Station had the hugest, most delicious barbecue ribs, and the restaurant was a train car. It turns out the restaurant really was a cut above the rest, because in the 1970s, at the peak of popularity, they had 100 locations across the US. According to Wikipedia, the theme of the restaurant was loosely based on London's Victoria Station. Antique English railway artifacts were used as decor inside, and the exteriors were composed of American railway cars, primarily boxcars, with a signature caboose placed in front. On the entry platform to each restaurant was a London-style phone booth. This theme was said to primarily attract members of the baby boomer generation with an elegant design and high-end fare, including prime rib, other cuts of steak, barbecued beef ribs, and shrimp Victoria. Admittedly, despite being very clearly not a boomer, Victoria Station is incredibly appealing to me even now. There's something pretty cool about the idea of eating in a train, stationary or not, and feasting on steakhouse foods. If there were one nearby, I'd be there in a heartbeat. Unfortunately, the firm filed for bankruptcy in 1986, and the last remaining restaurant closed December of 2017.
Round, round, great meals.
It's my steak place.
Round, round, great deals.
It's our family place.
Round, round, my round, round.
It's our lunch place.
Right now, kids pay what they weigh, just a penny a pound.
Only 38 cents. 65 cents.
Monday through Friday, only at the Ground Round.
Ground, round, my ground, round.
It's my fun place.
Ground, round.
Kids, make it your place.
Our last pick of the day comes from Lake Show 82, who says, Ground Round was a lot of fun to go to as a kid. I remember they had cartoons playing on a nice sized screen and peanuts to throw. This offshoot of Howard Johnson started in 1969 and had as many as 200 locations in their prime. Though I'm hesitant to classify Ground Round as a themed restaurant, this family-friendly establishment did have a few gimmicks that, in my estimation, make it pretty close. Particular elements of the restaurant like complimentary peanuts and popcorn, cartoons and silent movies on a large TV, and Bingo the Clown all make this a worthy pick for the list. There was something nostalgic about the restaurant, even back when we used to go in the 80s and 90s. Perhaps because the restaurant originally opened in the late 60s and 70s, the establishments began to feel outdated and old-fashioned. It somehow felt almost like walking into one of the old sitcoms we used to watch on reruns from our parents' generation. Of course, these days we're likely to think of this as a good thing, but back then they were measuring Ground Round against newer restaurants that had a fresh appearance like Chili's and Applebee's. Although they had to file for bankruptcy and eventually closed most locations, Ground Round does still exist, and according to the revival's official website, it's a reimagined and reinvented Ground Round that successfully honors its legacy while catering to a modern dining experience. It's a place where you can relive fond childhood memories while savoring a thoughtfully prepared, high-quality meal. It's not just a comeback, it's a revival, a testament to the enduring appeal of good food, good company, and the comforting embrace of nostalgia, now served with an elevated twist.
Now, as usual, we had many more options for today's list than we could cover, but that always leaves future installments on the table, and you know we love revisiting topics, especially when we get a little help from our viewers. On that note, you knew this was coming. What other themed restaurants and FECs did we miss? You know, I'd love to hear about it down in the comments. And if you enjoy our content, please consider liking this video, subscribing to the channel, and maybe even activating that ubiquitous notification bell. It really does make a huge difference. Let's meet again next week to celebrate yesteryear, right here on RetroDaze.
Clicky clicky.